snack. Me and you gonna have a little chat about books. Hi guys, so I am here today. I am filming on my webcam, so I hope that the quality is alright. It's the only camera that I have at the moment, so sorry if the frame like shakes a little bit or it's a bit annoying, but it's basically the best I can do whilst I am in London and I don't have any of my camera stuff with me, I just have my laptop. It's going to be a joint review for City of Dragons, which is book 3 in the Rainwild Chronicles, and then also for Blood of Dragons, which is the 4th one in the Rainwild Chronicles. Both of these are by Robin Hobb. The Rainwild Chronicles is the 4th series, which is in the realm of the Elderlings books. I wouldn't read this as your first Robin Hobb series because it spoils so much. Like, you can come into it without having read any of the other books in any of the other series because it makes sense as its own story. But honestly, it gives away so much of the world and so much of the magic and so much of the mystery that you don't know in the other books that I really would not recommend starting here. With that said, the 3rd book in this series was by far my favourite one. It was the only one in this series that I ended up giving a 5 out of 5 stars to. I loved it. I felt like the action and adventure of the characters in this book in particular was really, really well done, and I felt like we actually got to see some really interesting development with sort of interpersonal relationships developing between not only the keepers and what was going on with them and our main few characters like Arlise, Thymara and Captain Leftrin. I really like seeing all of them. I also really like the development that we got with Cedric. Cedric was a character who in the first 2 books I wasn't a massive fan of him. I think he had some really bad character flaws, but I love the way that Robin Hobb is able to kind of develop these characters that she brings into these worlds, and she makes them into someone who is not only interesting but also just redeemable, a redeemable person. They make mistakes, they do things that are bad, they do things that they feel guilty for and they feel upset about, but actually they do end up being good characters in the end, and they kind of have these moments of change where they feel like they need to do things differently, and I really love seeing the way that she does that. Really excellent to see that not all characters who are bad are just bad. Some of them are good characters who have come upon hard times or who haven't necessarily known how to express themselves that well, or they've made mistakes, they've just done things that maybe they shouldn't have done. And being able to see that and being able to see that Cedric was evolving as a character was something I really loved in this book and in the 4th, but mostly in this book I think. We also got to see the completion of the journey in this book. We get to see whether the dragons and the keepers, which we've been following, end up at their destination or not, and what befalls them on the way, which, let's be honest, is a lot of problems. We also get lots of magical explanation in this book, which I really, really enjoyed because there has been a lot of mystery surrounding the magic in the realm of the Elderlings, and there's always something going on, something that's interesting, something that helps them discover something new, and this book in particular was great at that, so I really, really loved that. So that's basically why I ended up giving this one a 5 out of 5 stars. I did think it was definitely the best one so far. I thought it was the one that was the most interesting and just overall worked the best. With that said, I then also really liked the 4th one. I thought that the 4th one was really interesting because it did some things that I wasn't necessarily expecting. There is an ongoing conflict between the Rainwild and Bingtown traders and the Chalcedons, and it's been hinted at for a while that maybe things will come to a head, and in this book they certainly do, but definitely not in the way I was anticipating, which is good because it meant that I was surprised and excited when things went the way they did. In this book we got to see so much more of one of the characters who is from the ending of the Live Ship books, Selden. I loved seeing Selden. I thought, oh, Selden's story, guys, if you've read this series you'll know, but this series, it has some great but tragic moments. It deals with gay relationships, which I thought was handled very nicely and done very beautifully at times. It also deals with torture and some really horribly disgusting things, but Robin Hobb does it in a way that makes you not disgusted but interested and worried about the characters, and you wonder for them, and you want them to be happy and you want them to succeed. And I really connected with the characters in this, as I always do. Not quite as much as some of the other books, because the books in this series are shorter. The series originally was intended to be a duology, and then it got split up into a quartet. So these books are a lot shorter than most of her others, and they read a lot quicker as well. They're quite fast paced, they're quite easy gateway kind of books. I would say that these are more YA in tone as well, because they do follow a couple more YA characters, young adult characters, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it does mean that there are aspects of romance and other things that the other books in her series haven't had as much of. There's still been romance, but not as much of it. And sort of teenage angst hasn't been a massive problem in some of the other books, and it was in this series. So there were moments where I was a little bit like rolling my eyes, but I love dragons, and if you love dragons, then this is the series for you, because it is excellently done. The dragons are snarky, they're funny, they're interesting. It's just a great way of portraying the dragon characters, and I love that. So I had to give the third one a 5 out of 5 stars, and then I gave the fourth one a 4, I believe, out of 5 stars. I still really liked it, I just didn't quite love it. I think the third one was definitely the best in terms of having the most action and intensity overall. But as a whole, I did really like this series. It is a bit depressing in tone, there are some sad moments, but I didn't think it merited a lot of the hate that it gets. I think mainly it was just a lack of complete development, because the books were shorter and faster pacing. That meant maybe a lot of the long-term readers of Robin Hobb didn't love it. And also book 1 ends on a massive, it just abruptly ends, so I can understand why people might get a little annoyed if they had to wait like a year between book 1 and book 2. Luckily I didn't have to do that. But those are my thoughts on the Rainwild books, or book 3 and 4 of the Rainwild Chronicles. I would love to hear what you guys thought of them. Have you read them? If so, let me know. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all very soon in another video. Bye! Me and you gonna have a little